Oh, so we spent all day working on the tractor, and the starter is definitely bad. And so now the key keeper is out here flinging metal shavings into the air with his very expensive laptop right nearby, and another project of mine right there that's an old crappy computer.
I can't find any wiring diagrams or anything like that on the internet for the little starter. So I'm going to tear it apart.
That's the spirit. Yep, if it ain't broke, we're not trying. And yes, we used to. Well, there you go. There you go.
This little piece, I started to break it and then I stopped. I think this is just lead.
Yeah, it probably is. Probably very soft.
Anyway, this has a shank on it and an insulator to keep it from shorting out.
Mm-hmm. Well, why don't you start tearing into that starter motor, and we'll be right back. Here he is, ready for destruction.
Alright, now, since I'm smart, and uxwbill is not, I took spray paint and I marked it, so when I put it back together, I put it back together correctly.
And who do you think told you to do that?
Me.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's very important whether you're smart or not. And if you're not, do be careful and try to become smart by reading about how starter motors work. But it is imperative that you get all the pieces back together the right way, or when you hit the starter, you'll make a black hole. And that won't be good. That'll tend to put an end to your, what do they call those, cranker-pranker videos?
Yeah.
This next part, when he takes the end cap off, a person has to be careful because just about every starter ever made is a DC brush-type motor. And those brushes, they're spring-loaded, and they may tend to go flying if you don't anticipate that they're going to come off. So do try to keep track of them, otherwise they may end up halfway across your workshop. Also, don't drop and don't hit, at least not particularly hard, your starter motor because it contains fragile permanent magnets that will shatter or break if you strike it with a hammer or you strike it with something else, or you let it fall on the ground. Here the key keeper is using his pocket sun to examine the starter. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. I'm blind now. Anyway, we've got the starter out of there, and
4 permanent magnets and your 2 super magnets.
You can see those. You can see the permanent magnets. You can see the electromagnets.
This is your armature.
Yep. And it's definitely seen some better days. A little slop in the bearings there. Not that that's too surprising, given all the starting that thing has probably done.
Macho.
He's going to clean it up here. Here comes the starter drive. That gear is thrust forward to engage a wheel, a flywheel, and that turns the engine over, and then it automatically retracts.
Put all that crap on that armature.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of it. That's really a mess.
Especially inside those windings. We're going to give it a good cleaning here with our shop here.
Alright.
Safe your glasses on.
Either that or put a pricey digital camera right in your face so the dust can hit it.
You also want to keep track of all your little pieces.
You have to be careful when you do something like this because this is kind of a risky operation. He's cleaning up that commutator there, and he's using sandpaper to do it. The only problem with using sandpaper to do it is that it could get into the bearings, so make sure you clean everything very thoroughly if that's what you do. Now that certainly looks a lot nicer.
Still got some crap on it.
But it's easily an order of magnitude better than it was.
What I'm clamping on is this ring right there, so don't damage anything else.
And we're being careful in our clamping efforts so that we don't egg shape it or put a nice little crimp in it or something like that, because that would really ruin our day. Just oil that bearing up nice.
If you get a little too much on the end piece, it's not a big deal. You can either take your finger or a sharp towel, just wipe off the excess, because you don't need a whole lot. And that ought to do it.
Now we'll see if we two wizards can get it back together.
You want to make sure your starter is nice and shiny clean. Nice and squeaky clean when you put it back together.
Squeaky clean?
Squeaky clean.
Okay. But don't give it a bath.
You can also take this time to wire wheel it. Make that mating surface nice and shiny. I think we're going to do that. Now it's time for the fun part. Should just slip right on like that. And then you put your screws in.
Then the two wizards have to put the brushes, have to spread the brushes out so we can put the back cover of the starter back into place. And we'll see if that's enough to let it run. Because if it needs anything more than that, it's probably beyond what we have the capabilities to do. And it's time to put the brushes back onto the commutator shaft.
This is what I have uxwbill do.
I've done this once with a 3-brush generator off of a tractor, and that was enough of a party. I can't imagine.
Alternators and starters.
I can't even imagine what it's going to be like to do it on a starter that's got 4 brushes on it.
The nicest alternator I worked with was a Ford alternator. It had holes in this back plate, and I could hold those brushes back with toothpicks or paper clips. And slip that thing right down. I tell you what, I like Ford alternators really much.
All right, well, it took all 3 of us, but I'll bet you thought we weren't going to get that starter motor back together. Now, the jury's still out on whether or not it's going to actually work, but it took the 3 of us, metal rods, about 6 of our hands, but we finally got it. Yeah, it would have helped in this case. It would definitely have helped.
I have 8 hands.
Time to test it.
Well, why don't we bench test it?
Well, we are going to bench test it, but we're going to do it on the floor because our bench is made of wood and it's flammable. I know. Plus, we got an oxygen tank over here, so we better do it far away from there too.
Not to mention these.
Yeah. that would be good, wouldn't it? Oh, yeah. Half the garage goes up.
Batteries on the floor.
Yeah, just all kinds of fun stuff. Well, bring that bad boy out here and let's get to testing it.
You want the switch on it?
No, we'll just do it without the switch. We could lose a foot here. I could burn my foot right off, you know. Well, I'll be damned. There must be a fault in the armature or something, or either that or the fields. What a bummer.
Did you have good continuity on your arm, though?
Yeah? Don't do that. You'll short it out.
That starter's junk.
Yep, I think we're going to have to call in the professionals now. But at least we tried.
Go on!